All right. So this is Cameron Moore again. Cameron does a lot of things, and I could not shorten it to like just one or two. So I'm just gonna go for it. He's out here from New York. He's originally from the Bay Area, and let's just before we.
What? I'm counting. I'm making sure that I can keep
You're
it.
so crazy, bro.
I'm trying to condense it down. It's not bragging. It's just like a resume.
But is that what it is?
Honestly, what it really comes down to is like I have creative ADD, and which means is like I like being creative and like doing different things. And so because I get bored easily, I try and learn new things. So and also I try to do it at least at a good level, so that if I was going to pursue that creative thing, I could do it at a higher level, whether it's professional level, whether it's amateur level, whether it's a level to make money or to make a business or whatever. But that just makes things fun.
Yes.
And I think a lot of times, a lot of people is like, they kind of mistake it for being unfocused. But I just say it's like, it's like we live in an era now where a lot of people don't actually try new things, and also don't necessarily learn new things
For fear of failure.
For failure, but also too
wasting time too.
Yeah, but also too, I mean, the age of the Renaissance man, or the polymath, as I like to say nowadays, is kind of not around anymore. And so most people just want to have that one thing they do it well, they make a lot of money, they have their family or whatever, which is completely awesome.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, we get bored. So it's like, if I'm gonna be, if I'm gonna hop into one profession and it gets kind of boring, I'm not gonna just sit there and let that profession be my thing for 60 years, retire and be done. I'm actually gonna be like, this is kind of boring after 4 years, 5. Let's try something else new.
Let's fix it. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah, but then also too, when you do that, you have a wider breadth of people that you know. Your network gets larger. You have different skill sets, and then you just become a more interesting person. And I think a lot of times, especially right now, we live in an age where people are fucking boring as shit, and they are basic. And
you cannot, and they only focus, like say if they're in tech, they only focus on tech.
And
if they're in music,
I say that as an elitist.
You can have a conversation. You are very much an elitist.
And so I say that as an elitist and a snob, but at the same time, I also say it with more of a notion that I would like people to venture and learn new things.
Yeah,
because
go outside your comfort zone.
Exactly.
If you're comfortable, then I feel like you're not living as full as you could be living.
Yes, exactly.
You gotta get those little. You gotta grow.
Yeah,
eventually.
And also too, when you do that, it makes you more of a well-rounded person. Okay. So like, we had a conversation about wine, and it was like speaking at very least elementary level. I'm gonna say like advanced elementary. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there.
I don't know. Should I give him that credit?
I'm just saying.
Leave a comment. You tell me whether I should give him that credit.
Give me 3 more months. I'm be Jaton.
So you got the muscles, got the wine muscles going. Hey, so with all that being said, with everything that you're doing right now, you're kind of a jack of all trades, in my opinion. What was your first love? What was the first thing that when you were a young man or a young kid and you were like sitting there, you're like, I want to do this. What was the first thing that got you into being creative or doing whatever you want to do?
More started for the more drawing and painting and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So like, people ask, everyone's like, you're born an artist, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Honestly, I was watching Take On Me from Aha, and then the video had it, and they had a half regular version, and then it had the half like drawing version. I was like, I want to do that.
It's so dope. I remember that video just blew my mind the first time I saw it. I remember that.
Also, a disclaimer that just aged me right now, so don't let the baby face fool you. Don't let the baby face fool you. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, that was actually part of it, and then also I was heavy into comic books and all that kind of stuff, and so that got me on the road of just like being into art and drawing and stuff. And then when I was in high school, took more advanced art classes, started learning how to design, and then was transferred into college and stuff, which I started doing more art and design.
Okay, so it was definitely art. I know you as a dancer too. What got you into dancing? What did it come from, like as an extension of the art aspect, or was it just something that you saw? You're like, you know what, I can move like that.
I got into dancing more just because I was a b-boy first, and so I learned like the basics and stuff from my cousin back in the day. And then as I got more into it, I kind of went in and out of dancing, whether it was just more b-boying, and then got more into like freestyling. And then I joined a dance company later on that kind of got me into expanding more of it. So then
did you do choreography?
So I did choreography and that kind of stuff, but then also I used to hang out with the Mind Tricks guys prior to that, and then which is the precursor to Jabberwockies. But I learned a lot of my like hip hop stuff from like hip hop basics to like locking and then popping, like more boogaloo type stuff. But then also just kind of mixing all that together. And then when I moved over to New York, that's when I started learning more house and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so what made you move to New York?
Boredom, basically. Yeah, that's everyone always asks me, like, oh, what was the life change? No, not just, I was just bored. And then it's not necessarily bored of the people that I was with or I was around, but it was more about the challenges. I think I got into a very comfortable lull where I didn't feel like I was drastically learning anything.
You weren't growing as a person here.
Yeah,
as much as you should have.
Yeah, and honestly, someone asked me, like, would you have not moved to New York and just stayed in the Bay? And I think if I would have stayed, I think it would have been fine. Like, I would have.
Oh yeah, you're okay. You have the mindset to be able to pull it off either way.
Yeah, so I have a good friend network, and the people that was around me was awesome, fams here and all that. But I think going to New York was cool because in the Bay at the time, I was starting to feel like a big fish in a small pond.
Got you.
Even though I wasn't that big of a fish, I was medium sized, but I was starting to get to that level.
It goes back to those old days where we can go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a nice little, there was a nice little renaissance in San Jose around that time.
Yeah.
But I think going to New York was great because you're a tadpole in the ocean, and it's a really show and prove type of place because it's moving so fast. Mm-hmm. There's just as many talented people as you are. There's just as many hustlers as you are.
You gotta push.
Yeah, so you really have to be on it. And so just moving to New York, even in that first year, I kind of got into a lull where I was just partying and having fun. Mm-hmm. And then I had to really like step back and be like, wait, what am I doing here? Like, I could do this exact same thing back in the Bay.
That's real.
And also too, a good friend said, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just chilling in my cafe, making drinks and stuff. He's like, yeah, but if you fail, you gotta go back home. I was like, that's not that bad. He's like, you've been home. You really want to go back? And I was like, ooh, that's a good point.
Cold-blooded.
No, but it was a very good point.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but it was also good because it made me realize, like, why did I come to New York? Did I come to New York to work in a cafe and go to parties all the time? Or did I come to New York to find, experience more great creative endeavors, learn and meet new people, and then really to better myself just in general on all aspects, whether it was professional, personal, and even on the spiritual level.
So, hold on. So, because I know the guy, I can ask him certain questions. Before you went to New York to live there permanently, you went there on a vacation with a couple of the guys that we're all friends with. Did you have a moment when you were out there where you're just like, you know what, I'm moving here? Was there a specific moment that you're just like on a subway or whatever?
No, I went there, before I moved, I was there 3 times. The first time was a big trip with all the homies. It was really cool. Post 9/11, it was really crazy.
The blackout, right? There was a blackout.
Yeah, the blackout was there. I was there for that. It was awesome. And the second time I was out there with a couple other homies, more of the art guys, and that's where a friend that I met there, he hit me later on after we came back for an opportunity to freelance at Michael Kors. And so I went out for like about 2 weeks during the winter. It was super cold. I was out there. I was like working at Michael Kors. I was like out just doing my thing. Yeah. And that's when I was kind of like, you know what? I can live here. Like the cold sucks, but other than that, I was like the pace of life is more my speed and my personality.
Yeah, you're quick.
And so I think California was awesome because it gives you a sense of chill and everyone has a good vibe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think for my personality, being in New York was a little bit better just because the speed of life was a little bit faster.
And you needed that bug up your ass. You needed something to push you to.
Yeah, and it makes you get on it. So, but the funniest part is even my New York friends would say, oh man, you're still very California chill. Even though when I come back to the Bay, everyone was like, man, you're always moving so fast. And like, it's Tuesday. Why are we at, what's going on? Are we going to drinks or what are we doing?
I gotta tell you, it's funny.
Netflix?
It's funny that you say that because you're always Cameron, right? No matter what, like you can drop you anywhere, you're always just gonna be who you are, and we expect that of you. You're quicker, and you're a little bit. You have more of an edge now, but you're still Cameron. And I understand why you go over there and they'd be like, "Yo, you're California." You're like, yeah, but I've been out here for a long time now. I know how to deal with you, Mokes. You're like, you can't pull on me. You can probably pull on me back in the day.
Yeah, but also I think for me, New York was a good place to learn and experience and do new things.
Gotcha.
And it puts you in a situation where I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm not the person that talks the most. I get you're in a room and you get sunned or you fail or all these different types of things.
Gotcha.
And so it was a good lesson because I had to constantly like really be on it. Yeah. And then when you get to a point where you start to be you're you know what, I actually am smart and I do know what I'm doing and get a little bit more confidence, then it's more fun because as cliche as it is, it really is true. If you can make it in New York in terms of you literally can go anywhere. Because like now you're operating on a higher level in terms of the speed, in terms of the caliber that when you go somewhere else, you're like, why is everyone moving so slow?
Where are you living at in New York right
now? So I'm in Brooklyn and Bed-Stuy, do or die. But wait, no, there's a lot of justifications. So now it's like pew pew. Sad to say. But yeah, I've been in Brooklyn most of the time. I've been out there, and then I was in Manhattan for like a year or something like that.
Got you.
But
what's the difference? See, that's always a question I wanted to ask. I mean, you hear about it on radio, and you hear about it like through or you see it in movies, and whatever it is, you get an idea of New York outside of New York, but you being in the midst of it, what's the big difference between like some place like Manhattan and Brooklyn?
I mean, each different borough has its own different vibe.
Okay.
And so, like, I have friends that are BX till they die. Yeah. And then, so they're from the Bronx, and they have a completely different type of viewpoint about how New York is. They have friends that are born and raised in Queens. They have the same, like, just as strong feeling, but just in Queens.
Gotcha.
And I have like the born and bred Brooklyn people. And so like each vibe has a different area. Okay. And then also you have to factor in gentrification and all that kind of stuff. Gotcha. So I mean, Manhattan is, you have like, everything's industrial. You have the corporate stuff going on, all that. Gotcha. And there actually are people that are born and raised in Manhattan.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's weird, but
I always
it's true.
thought everybody just came over there. It was like,
nah, man. I have friends that were born and raised in Lower East Side. Some in Harlem. Some in Washington Heights. Not Washington Heights, but sorry, Spanish Harlem. And so it just depends. Just like anywhere, they all have their own kind of distinct personality. It just happens to be that with New York, because of music and culture, like each place gets their own shine.
Gotcha.
And so the cool thing, say for instance for me, like I like Brooklyn more because there's a lot of like the brownstones are super awesome. Mm-hmm. Also, like they have specific parties that are very Brooklyn, and they're not going to stay anywhere else.
Where Brooklyn?
So like one of my favorite parties is the Soul Summit party, which is in Fort Greene Park, and it's outdoors. Mm-hmm. It's like on a Sunday. It starts at like 11 a.m.
So Spike Lee always talks about it. Not that party, but that Fort Greene.
Yeah, so it starts around 11 a.m. and it goes until it gets dark, and it's basically outdoors. Okay. It's a house party, all house music. And the majority of the people are probably age 47 and up.
And everybody's just dancing.
And everyone's dancing.
Oh, man.
You'll see the most beautiful, like, older women, and they're out there, and then all their magnificence, and they'll have the sundresses, and the hair's out, and they're hustle dancing, and the whacking, and locking, and popping. All the young people come out. But it's just a really good vibe, because people bring their picnic baskets and all that kind of stuff.
They make a day of it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's in the summertime, and it's awesome. It's just a good vibe party. Another good party is Makosa, which happens during the summertime, and that's once a month for the summer. And it's the same thing. It's just like really good music, good people, food's out there. Everyone's vibing. You have like some of the sexiest people you'll ever see because everyone has good style. Okay. And like I think that also is the best part about being out there, is because even if you have no style in Brooklyn, you have more style than pretty much anywhere else in the United States.
Got you.
Like you could be in a t-shirt and jeans and some Chippewa boots, and then you come to
Shots fired. Shots fired to California.
And then you can go to other places, and it'll be the same thing, but the swag is different. The confidence is different.
It's a lifestyle out there.
Yeah, and also people actually like what you're into reflects who you are.
I got you.
So not to dog other places, but that's the cool part about those areas, And again, like and it always says like when are you officially from like Brooklyn or from that places? Technically, never. Unless you're born and raised, you're not from that place. Yeah. I do have my stamp.